call the meeting to order. Do you have anyone for public comment? All right. So here in the room we have Ann Hadley, Chris Barrett, Tanya Walker, and Silva, Larsino, Stacey Constance, and Ali Shukri. If I get it right, is on Zoom, and Erin Kukinda. Do we have anyone for public comment, Erin?
No.
So we received an email kind of late today that I sent out to folks. I don't know if folks had an opportunity to see it. I have
Yes.
a legal question.
Okay.
So if someone is asking for comments from other people to be read, is that hearsay? Because I was not going to read that.
I mean, if we were in a court of law, it would be hearsay, but we're not. So, but like a town meeting, you can't do that.
Right.
No.
So I would say probably not appropriate, that if the person wants to make a comment, they should come themselves or log in.
Perfect, thank you, thank you. So we did get an email, I did share it with the council, kind of late today, if everyone had a chance to see it. I will read the parts that are specific. That's right. So this is from, should never address, so do I read it? This is from Julie Scott. We don't have her address. But I think we all know she's a Wakefield resident. Good afternoon. Please share this email with all members of the EDC. Thank you for creating the market assessment survey for the community complete. I have personally shared the link for the market assessment surveys with members of 5 community organizations that I belong to. The housing production plan survey had over 500 responses, and other recent surveys have had 900 plus responses. The town council's recent 40B survey received over 800 responses, and then there's a link to a story on local headline news. Keep reaching out to the community in order to get a large number of responses to the survey. Since yesterday, about 20 people have sent me feedback about the market assessment survey. Perhaps their concerns have already been shared with you. In case they did not, I will share some of them with you. If folks want to directly share feedback with the EDC, we're very open and welcoming to comments. So I'm going to skip over the bullet points down to past number 7. So please share the 2024 business survey created by the EDC and taken last year with the community and all EDC members and town council liaisons. All town council members should also receive the results of both the 2025 market assessment survey and the 2024 business survey. The business responses from last year showed that downtown safety and cleanliness were top priorities of local business leaders. The EDC should always consider the responses from the 2024 survey attached to guide their thinking. Moving forward, please prioritize the need to address the cleanliness and safety concerns as expressed by business owners in their responses to the 2024 Wakefield Business Survey. Please keep in mind that the town is so far still choosing to remove up to 50 plus parking spaces in the downtown area via the Wakefield Envision design. This will certainly impact small businesses and those who will be living in downtown areas. There's a link to the downtown design concepts. This design plan was created years before dozens more living units were planned for the downtown area. This design also came into being long before the town moved the state mandated compliance with the MBTA 3A Communities Act. Perhaps aspects of the envision design should be revisited, as so many living units are to be created in our downtown spaces. I could never be an actress because I don't know how they do it without drinking water. Across the street from the Americana Civic Center is slated to be 1618 new living spaces. The Santander building area is zoned for many living spaces as well, bringing living spaces to the downtown area with its cars. It is counterintuitive to take away parking in the area as we focus on bringing more living spaces to all areas of the downtown spaces. I'm going to pause here because a lot of this is not within our realm. Perhaps you may want to bring some of this back to the town council. Okay, sure. So that will be the Stacy has agreed to take this back to the town council. Thank you. I'm going to jump down to how can the EDC advocate for ways to have visitors and downtown employees become aware of other areas that offer long-time parking spaces. Devon Street, you have Lafayette Street, Chestnut Street, parking lot on Water Street, your omelet headquarters, restaurant, 57 Water Street, etc. Can employees be strongly guided to park in these areas so that spaces closer to businesses can be available so that customers can park there? Should enhanced lighting or added safety be considered? The town council discussed these issues 7 years ago, yet very little action appears to be taking place. Certainly parking solutions, the mandated MBTA 3 communities law and various areas of downtown having now or being newly planned retail with living space above must be included and addressed in the revised Wakefield market assessment. Thank you for allowing me to share my input as well as thoughts of others. So I'd like to thank Ms. Scott for sending us some feedback. Appreciate it. Anybody else on? Nope. Nope. Okay. So move on to item number 3, the meeting minutes approval. Did everyone get a chance to look at the meeting minutes?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Any questions, comments? Ali, you got anything? It's like he's in Egypt. He's on the way around. Would someone like to make a motion?
Make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from May 28th.
Or second? Second. And how many seconds? Ali, approved?
Approve.
Okay. And yes. Chris?
Yes.
Yes.
Tanya Walker, yes.
Andy? Andy's a yes. Joanne's yes. I keep thinking coffee.
Coffee,
That's good, right? Item number 4, just want to have a discussion on the economic development ARPA funds and if we needed to vote on anything, send anticipated votes. Number 1, review of the Mosaic project invoice application. So Ann Whalen, was that just the last meeting?
Yeah.
Came in and did a great presentation of the Mosaic project. They are looking at vendor Beautiful Stuff. Beautiful Stuff has sent them an invoice, and in their invoice, it comes in just under $10,000, and it includes all the materials. It includes 2 artists who will come and oversee the classrooms, and they're actually going to extend it to the entire middle school. So before it was just the upper houses, which is 7th and 8th grade. They now are going to extend it to the entire the 6th grade. So that's about 1,000 kids.
Right.
That's amazing.
Does that change the funding request?
So they put in an application.
Mhm.
Yep. Erin has seen it. Yep. Does it look?
They still need some documentation to move forward, but
The business.
they obviously, yeah, you have them. They need a business support letter. They don't need any permits required. Everything else looks fine. They sent the budget, the W-9, and they selected how much money that they're gonna need.
Yes. Where they're looking to create mosaic pieces. If I understand correctly, mosaic pieces, and then they're going to bring it all together.
I worked in East Somerville with the FCC grant for East Somerville
great.
Street for Business East.
Did you work with them?
I didn't directly, but I've seen their work. It's great.
Okay, so as soon as they get their business letters in, their application looks good.
Mhm. Yeah, and I met with them too, both Anne and Emily, just to make sure, them being a town department, I just wanted to confirm from our end when the money, you have to worry about procurement type stuff, but with it being under the 10,000 threshold, we should be all set, but just wanted to confirm that with them after our last meeting, because I think that's important, so.
You recap what we're doing with this project.
So they're going to have the kids work with these artists from Beautiful Stuff to put together. Either, I think they were coming up with, there's going to be wildlife, so they're thinking birds or maybe some fish, or and then pieces of the mosaic would go into local businesses, so local businesses would house them. And the thought being that if a local business is housing a student's artwork, it would bring their family in. It would be, we always call it what do you call it?
Placemaking?
Yeah, placemaking. for other folks to come and see and really sort of drive folks into these businesses.
Is there a time frame for how long was actually gonna be in the businesses?
So I don't know that they've come to that level of detail. I mean, if we suggested something, or if they go to the business, I think they're gonna need help with having the conversations with the businesses, because they're very focused on the artistic side of things. And then I think a discussion with the businesses would be like, do you want these for a month? Do you want these for however long? If you were gonna host something like this, is there a time frame that you would think you would want?
I would say no more than 90 days.
I was thinking a tighter, you know, I don't micromanage the project, but if you have a tighter window,
Mhm.
it is gonna create urgency for people to get out and look at them.
Right.
I was thinking somewhere like 2 to 4 weeks,
Yeah, I was thinking like a month.
and that would kind of be, well, if we don't get in, you know, if you do
Right.
90 days, people will be like, well, you know, one of these days, but if it's, you know,
Where do
2 to 4 weeks,
where do the
it's
mosaics
very
go
long.
after?
To go back to the school.
Okay, so they still live in a permanent exhibition somewhere.
Correct.
Okay.
And one thing I would, because those other, I don't remember the other, I call it triptych, but there are 4 of them. The amazing artwork that literally are downtown, so the kids put together these images. And they're not in the community space, they're in the school. So I'm trying to, they're bolted to the wall, so they're like, we're not taking these off the wall. But I had chatted with Ms. Webb, who's the principal, and said, what if we did a high def picture of them, and the kids sign them? And then maybe those also can go out into the businesses, and then the high def pictures can then go in the community area. So that it's very much making it public art within the school.
I think as far as like how long they are in different businesses, the business could decide. Depends on space too, right? I have an art installation coming in July and it'll be for 2 months. But then she's also selling, like it's art for sale.
So do we know how many, we don't know yet how many mosaic projects will be created?
So she had said 20, but that's when it was the upper school. So I don't know if now that it's expanded, if she's thinking of more. We certainly can have her come back in and give more detail on the size of it.
Who's gonna be responsible for going around to the businesses to see if they'll accept?
So she, Ms. Whalen, 70, and they've asked if I would help. I absolutely help if anybody else wants to help.
Is Miss Whalen the art teacher in the high school? Yeah,
In
and
middle
she's-
school, yeah.
In the middle school? She's the one that does all of the holidays. I don't know.
I think that's the high school.
The
No,
high
that was
school.
the high school.
Yeah.
Okay.
And will we consider not just downtown, but maybe like in Greenwood or
I would think that would
they
be.
can come and sing the whole town?
Especially if you're getting more than 20 pieces. We just, in essence, doubled who was gonna participate in the project, and I would assume you're gonna at least add 10, if not 20 more pieces to the project.
So we can ask her, it has the scope of our project. I'm gonna agree with Chris on that. I think that's a great point, that when it's a shorter timeline and there's an urgency, I like that.
Something to get stale.
And the reason why you want it all around Wakefield is because the kids come from all around Wakefield. Right? You have a list of questions over there?
Well, I just, yeah, being responsible for going to businesses, I didn't want to put any more pressure on everyone.
No. So they asked, they said, will you help us do this? I said, absolutely, absolutely.
So absent business letters, this is an application we're ready to vote on and approve.
I don't think you have to vote in this group.
Right, so we had chatted about this, that we don't want to micromanage you, you don't want us to micromanage. But this was something that had moved quickly, so they had put the application in and they had moved it quickly. And then I think if they knew sort of the status, then I think it would put them in a position to maybe continue to engage with beautiful stuff. I don't know if they have to, they haven't confirm the timing with them yet. So I don't know if us saying, yeah, we're totally behind this would help them confirm the timing of the stuff, because they get busy. And the timing is January, I think she said.
Okay, summer, fall, design refinement and materials prep is summer, fall, and then January 2026. Mosaic making for 4 school days. February, same thing. And then March, pieces and delivery to Wakefield, the final products. So next March. Yeah, I don't have any concerns looking at what, I mean, from what I can see, it looks like what you're allowed to purchase for, you can. So,
In general, our applications on this are parent approval. We review it, so we don't require a vote.
So do we want to talk about that? I mean, definitely on the events, right?
sorry, I'm gonna step in. I thought this is what we discussed last time, where it was just gonna come to me. Not that I want more work,
Yeah,
but
no.
I have it out there already.
Yes,
So,
that's fine.
yeah,
I
yeah.
agree with that.
But the discussion, so if you get more art, so I was thinking the art thing was always a little bit different, and not that we would have to vote on it, and, but maybe a discussion here might be, if you're seeing, like an art project come in, and it's something that, is kind of significant, or would have a significant impact, that you would then bring it to us and say, hey,
Yeah.
this thing.
But I don't think I need a vote or anything. I
No,
was just,
you know,
yeah,
I guess that would be my point, that if you have any concerns or issues
Yeah,
on
then I would
something
bring
in
it
front of you, then we would talk about it.
yeah.
Yeah, and so the one thing I do want to mention is that, I don't know how many folks come to you folks. Folks have been coming to me, and that's good, that's what we want. So folks reach out to one of you and say, hey, I have X, Y, and Z, I have this idea, and you want to bring that to the council, like, that's why we're here, right? And not to step on your toes, there's no interest in getting in your way. But also, it's important that we're leveraged, right? Because you have so much work, and we do want to get to a point where we're not talking about ARPA funds anymore. We are talking about the bigger strategy within Wakefield of how we drive economic development here.
So let's just pretend you get 20 applications in the next 2 months.
Mhm.
Would you, process-wise, what does that look like for you?
So I guess if I have questions, like the next application I do actually have questions on, I would bring it back to this committee, because I just want to be consistent when it comes to the type of things that we're funding. I think I would just process it the same way as I process the facade and design, which is, I follow up with the applicant, make sure that they have everything they need through an application, which is online. They don't have everything, they can still follow up with me. And then from there, it's all reimbursement. So I have them sign an agreement letter before anything kind of takes place about this is what you're approved for the work. And then they can do the work and then I reimburse them. I mean, it is a way, if I have 20 all at once, it is what it is. I try my best to get back to them as soon as I can. I know some things are more time sensitive than others, but
This is a rolling process.
it's a rolling
so
process, yeah.
You may be all committed out by, say a date.
Yeah,
November.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Okay.
And so again, it's reimbursement. So someone could apply for an event next spring, right? And I can be like, yep, you're approved to, or you're approved to do this, but I won't have to do a lot of the paperwork and all that until their event's over. So it's gonna be kind of staggered.
The facade and sign has been the same. plan.
Yeah, it's been staggered. Same with
Yeah.
digital marketing. Once the people get their receipts and stuff, they send it in. So it hasn't been, it's just all these programs at once. That's where it gets like kind of held up. But yeah, no, I foresee them all being kind of staggered.
So if you are looking at something and you're going to decline it, personally, I'd like to hear that, because this is coming from our group, so we want to be able to also manage sort of the perception out there and how things are. So if you're going to decline something, we should all be on the same page and saying the same things.
Okay.
It would just be good to know, like every meeting.
Yeah, I'll give an update.
An
of-
agenda,
yeah.
what's coming in, what was good, what's, just so we I personally, I'm just
Yeah,
curious.
Yeah,
about
no,
how this is gonna
absolutely.
roll out.
Which is how we've done the facade and sign as well.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
we've always had like updates as to who applied.
I've come back with questions about, I've concerns and stuff about certain things I've brought it to meetings, I think.
I think what we need to is, if we move ahead with some of these projects, that we need them to put somewhere that this project is supported by.
Yes.
They're gonna- So either
Not that in the agreement.
maybe, the bottom of the materials or things they put out, or something that gives the support from.
When I was chairing the CPC in Malden, we literally had a sign, and they, in the agreement was, you have to create, so it was part of, they had to create it, and then they had to post it. And it was funds provided by Malden CPC, by state. That we absolutely should be doing.
Yeah, because if we don't let people know, then.
Ali, anything from you?
Nothing on my end.
So, sorry, so the action item on that one is, once they hand in the business letters, they're good to go.
Yep.
Right. Number two, review the July parade event application. So a couple of folks from the 4th of July committee were asking about the application, and I want to share their business, but getting additional funding would be helpful for them. So I believe they've submitted the application. Yeah. And we went through a few things of where potentially they could ask us for funds to pay for certain things within the parade structure. And I think they all fit in.
I mean, they do. When I thought of this program, some of them is not what I thought this program was meant for. Like, I don't, porta potties, I just didn't think that was something, I didn't know if there was like other things that we could pay for that would support them. More of an economic development benefit. That's just,
The parade's the economic.
no, I get that, but I just thought the things that we'd be supporting would be more tied to that. That's all. That was my question for you guys.
You'd rather see us sponsor the doll carriage parade or something that's tied into the one of their.
That's a question for you guys. This is me just wanting to talk that through.
That's the west side.
So was there a specific line item other than porta potties that they needed funding for? I mean, I thought we talked about details and some things like that, but what funding specifically does the parade need?
So they asked for about roughly around $8,828. Some of it's radios, some of it's buses, porta potties, some to cover reviewing stand, storage unit. I guess this is just a good conversation when
Yeah,
these
so
events come through. It's like,
it costs money to build a reviewing stand. And that's one of the things we're looking to fund, to build out that, put up, put down.
I mean, I'm fine with, I just want to bring it, that's kind of like what the asks are, and I just, so I know
But
moving
buses
forward.
are for, are we paying for bands coming in or organizations, transportation?
I
to come
haven't
to
gotten
the
that
parade?
far with them.
I think that's what it is. So they had,
Is this for this parade this year?
Well, I think they bus people from the Gavin to Lakeside. They don't want any traffic on the street, so they bus. So
You like
everyone
the crowds?
parks. No,
No,
the bands or the people that are, going in the
The
parade.
parade participants.
Got it. So they like use the Galvin as parking.
Yeah.
And then they bus
They bus
people
them.
that, okay, got it.
So when we first started talking about ARPA funds and all of this, we talked about not wanting to be micromanaging and responsible for the nits and gnats of the things. Where I would start with this conversation is, do we all believe that the 4th of July parade is an economic development driver? So that would be the first.
I think the short answer is yes.
You're saying yes?
That's an easy answer, I believe.
I think it brings the most, I read that somewhere, that brings the most people into Wakefield of any event. I guess maybe if it's at the farmer's market added all up, maybe.
Does it matter to you guys that the businesses are closed that day for the most part? You know, it's, sometimes I think about an economic development thing where people are here and they're going into the businesses. That won't happen.
It depends upon the type of business that could, you know, restaurant and those businesses should be open on the 4th of July, probably are. It's also exposure to seeing new things. Somebody might have driven through downtown Wakefield, but until they stand in front of Indy Clover, they have no idea really what it is, but if you're walking to or from a road, you're going to see businesses, see storefronts. Or while you're waiting for a parade, you're in the downtown. A lot of it. So I think, yeah, I think you may not have to be open to get exposure from the parade.
Even like as a marketing tool for Wakefield, like folks are coming in like, oh yeah, I love Wakefield, this is great. They're going, oh, I didn't know that Public Kitchen was here. I didn't know Indy Clover was here. Or I didn't know like this great coffee shop was here. So it's the, sometimes it's called, I don't think this is quite a loss leader, but sort of a loss leader where you're not making money on the thing, but it drives business in the future.
Can I ask kind of a slightly unrelated question?
Yeah.
I mean, it's related, but is there, I know it's maybe too late now, but as we take in these event requests, is there a way for us to say, like if they're contracting out these services, that if there's a local Wakefield option that they like, we highly encourage them to use that option because that's also then driving economic development towards Wakefield.
Yeah.
Like if there's a Wakefield porta potty service, we really want you to use them.
Supporting.
And we can like help facilitate a contract with them or something like that. So that business is definitely still staying.
So we can't, yeah. So in the facade sign, we have like, you have extra points if you, use a local vendor.
Right.
Can't facilitate anything, but definitely can put that out there as,
Yeah.
plus.
Well, even if they're like, okay, we want money for this and this and this, even if like our response is like, okay, and here's some Wakefield local businesses that do that for you,
Mhm.
like that, here's some options.
Yeah.
And you don't have to approve every line item. So I think they're probably asking for the wall, then you can go in and say, you know what, we can cover this, 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 and this.
It's funny about the porta potties because as I'm thinking it, that's the one sign that I have for the 4th of July is this business has no public restrooms. So it is actually a big demand on the 4th, like.
Oh, I'm not taking it, I'm
Yeah,
sure
no, I
it
was just
is.
like, I was thinking about it like from a business aspect, actually that is somewhat helpful. Because that is like, sometimes people will come in and they're just looking for a bathroom. They're not necessarily looking like to purchase anything.
Mhm.
So that, I think that's kind of funny, actually.
Yeah, no, I'm just, we threw this on as an example to review. I just wanted to let you guys know that as an example, that's kind of one of the line items. And if that's where you guys thought this type of money was going to be going towards, that was just the example. That's one of the line items that stuck out to me.
Like we could, oh, sorry, back to my thing. You call it like preferred vendors, like.
Yeah, so I'd have to double check on that. I don't think we can. Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
because,
almost 99% positive we can.
It's,
Yeah.
as a town,
Yeah.
like that you can't recommend things because it positive.
Yeah.
But like if we list all of the Wakefield vendors that like do that specific thing, rather than like going to Reading that has the,
Yeah.
what I mean? I don't know.
Well, it could just be informational, right? Instead of saying, we prefer these, you could say, here are some.
Yeah, yeah.
They're the
make it
Wakefield
easier for them,
options
yeah.
that do that thing. Okay,
I mean.
Yeah, we could
Who knows if there
refer
is
you-
a Wakefield vendor that has porta potty, who knows, I don't know.
And yeah, it was just,
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So yeah, that was my concern I wanted to bring up, just kind of like how I look at these and yeah, maybe those are the type of questions I bring back, but if you guys all agree that you're comfortable with that type of stuff, then I'll know how to proceed. I was thinking it'd be more marketing type stuff, as like what we talked about in the past. I mean, I know they have some marketing stuff here, maybe they already paid for it, but
Can you reach out to them and say, you know, this would fit more within, then you're micromanaging them though. So that's, I think that would be way too much work for them.
that was the TV.
Well, if they're gonna be on the marketing side of it, I love the parade, we go every year, love it, love it.
Great.
Do they have to pay for ads in the Wakefield item? You know, or, you know, maybe something to promote the parade where they have to pay for, some ads or something, you know, that is gonna drive people to Wakefield for the economic development. More so than pay for.
I'm sorry for that example. It's
But
just, it's
it's
stuck out
on
to
the
me.
list, it may
There is
be
stuff on that list, I
that
don't know if
they-
it's
that they
been
took
before.
just what their shortfall is and put it in the application, whereas the requirement under this grant would be, take a closer look, that's not, you know, we don't cover buses under this vision, but we cover marketing. Can we
I think that's a reasonable ask.
switch around?
Right. The
you know?
economic drive.
So I'm gonna pause on that for 1 second, because the one thing we don't wanna be doing is micromanage, because it really is jumping into the sausage making. And I don't wanna set that precedent, because if we set that precedent, then we're doing it on all of them. If you're uncomfortable and you wanna go back to them and say, hey, then that's your decision, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean,
we don't
we-
wanna get into that.
I mean, we do have here, like, the agreement that we send for may include conditions set by me and the group. You know, some requirements such as hosting proposed programs, so we can come back with like conditions. I mean, you're calling it micromanaging, but
But you can,
yeah,
Yeah.
because you're
It says
looking
it.
at it,
Yeah.
so
yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
want to,
I'm
we don't
not-
want to
yeah.
micromanage.
No,
it,
yeah, so, okay,
but-
I got it.
but Your job.
I'm glad we talked through this. This
But it's
makes
a
it a
helpful
little clearer.
discussion because I feel like I hear themes coming from everybody that you can, you know,
Okay.
use as you assess these.
just one last thought, I'm sorry.
No, don't be
Um,
sorry.
And when you're assessing, I know like we all seem to be very focused on, you know, what the driver of economic development is. And I think Julie said it, like, having the event is.
No, absolutely.
And so if it's an aspect, if the ask doesn't seem to us like it's relevant, but is it making the event better and easier for people to come to? So let's just continue on this porta potty thread. If a mom from Melrose is coming in with her kids and they have to go to the bathroom and Annie has a sign on her door, no public restroom,
Mhm.
she may not come back next year. She's
Right.
like, my kid peed their pants. And like, they
Mm-hmm.
were screaming, it was a meltdown, blah, blah, blah. Like, so is there an aspect of the asks for the event that will make the event better?
Mhm.
That zoom out is helpful.
Yeah, I don't
That's
think
just my
we
2
wanna,
cents.
so people who are running the event, they know where they need the help, right? They know where they need to, so they're looking at, well, this is funding, this is gonna help us. And I don't, just my 2 cents, I don't think you wanna micromanage it like that. Cause you're gonna have way too much. And that was a great example, right? Cause if it's, we come there, it's taken care of and you don't have to worry about this or that or the other thing. And you don't have to worry, right? That's what you're saying.
It's like my kid peed her pants recently.
You don't have to worry.
Sounds
She did.
familiar.
Because there was no bathroom available.
Then you're coming back.
Yeah.
right? And so I know there was a big, I don't say big, there was an issue with there not being porta potties down at the park, down at Lake Quannapowitt. Like that was
For the festival by the lake?
no, just that they weren't there.
Oh,
In
in
general.
general,
Yeah,
okay.
and exactly what you're explaining was happening. So people were like, I'm not gonna go there because.
Well, it also, I mean, this is not us at all, but like, it'd be great if there's just like a public. there, like,
I think
especially where there's like,
there's one under construction.
oh, there is?
Yeah, there's
Okay.
only one.
Because like the playground's there.
That's
That'd be
field
so
though,
great.
so you're gonna have to
Yeah.
walk down there, yeah.
Right.
That'll be, they're.
Oh, down by-
That'll be,
Under the Comstock.
Oh, that's not very clear where, you know,
It's
the lake playground is though, like, you
No.
know.
it's not close, that's far to walk if you've got a
No.
child.
Yeah,
It's an
yeah, yeah.
urgency,
But-
yeah.
You just go to the library, quicker.
But to that end, build one, see how it works before you try and do another one.
You need to make
And
this
I
up.
think that-
I'm sorry.
Okay. All right, we get the
Next.
meeting back. Okay, so you're good with,
Mhm.
they have everything that
Thank
they
you,
need?
Ellen.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Oh, yes.
Anything else? Ali, you good? Any other? And. So the third one, this was an idea that was bandied about. I love being able to say things like juxtaposition and bandied about.
So you are an actress.
So Wakefield branded gift card for senior students, residents, I don't know if residents have teachers, discussion, any other ideas? I think we have $5,000 remaining. So I've been chatting with folks. And someone had called it Wakefield dollars? Did they used to be Wakefield dollars? Maybe it was another town.
We did we did a, like a gift certificate thing during COVID.
Yeah, and did it go over well?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what if we did that with the $5,000, where it's a certain dollar amount? I always look at Galvin as like a 1,200 potential consumer organization. Those kids come out, they go to McDonald's, they go to Walgreens, they go to Dunkin' Donuts. They don't go downtown where all that revenue, when it's actually significant, is just going to those locations. So what I keep thinking is, what if we had an opt-in, right? Opt-in, the businesses opt in and say, yeah, if the kids come in with these $25, $50 gift cards, we'll have, I'd say it's after school, we'll have hamburger, french fries, whatever, drink. And it'll be maybe a lower price point, but to bring the kids in. And if the kids are going in, then the families will follow. But I really think there's a huge opportunity to get those consumers into downtown. So I thought this, maybe the Wakefield gift card or with an opt-in program for the seniors, right? The seniors, they're hurting. Farmland, like maybe if we could do this with farmland, and they can then go into farmland and shop, or
How is the business Gary?
Oh, we fund
we
it.
fund it.
It's real money.
But wouldn't then the business have to invoice economic development or the?
Because not everyone has the same point of sale system, so they're not gonna be able to process like a gift card.
And what the chamber did was, people went in with a card, slip, whatever, and it would be X amount off. And then the chamber, they would turn them into the chamber office, and they got reimbursed. So they collected them. There was, I think somebody, Sabatino's did it, they did quite well. The girl on Tuttle Street, she did quite well. They would bring them, they would collect them, and it was money, and they would go and get paid.
Do we brand a Visa card or a MasterCard?
$5,000.
It would be like $25.
No, then you're just giving money.
Yeah, because then they can use it forever.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if you're doing like a Wakefield branded thing, they have something that they can bring to the businesses, and then the business just has to bring it to the town to get reimbursed.
You're like, oh my God, you give me so much work.
But who would, you'd have to write all the checks from that.
Yeah, that would be tough. I could figure it out. I would need W-9s from the businesses to be reimbursed. You would just have to turn it in. I'd have to talk to accounting. What that would look like.
What were the ins and outs with the chamber? Is it different because you're the chamber and you're the?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's completely different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what happened was, the two local banks in Wakefield gave us the money during COVID. They were very generous, and that's where the money came from. Didn't come from the chamber per se, it came from the two banks that supported the program. So
How easy would it be to stand that up again?
Would this be like an opt-in thing from the businesses or everyone, like, if they get this, they like, it might have to be an opt-in thing.
I think it's fine.
Because then could they come and set, if they're opting in, could they set up an account with the town and like have like an ACH bank transfer? So they just like submit their collected gift cards and then,
I mean, what they would do is have to send me an invoice at the end of the month. It's probably what we do. We don't really transfer. It has to be a hard, it would be a live check that I have to send.
And I would only do it like 30 days. They have, the coupons are good for 30 days. And then after that, they would have to maybe have a month to turn them in.
I think you were suggesting giving the chamber 5,000 and just running it that way
I was
so
kinda
that you
hoping-
don't have to worry about.
was hoping they would
the W-9,
volunteer.
you know.
We already
I was
give the
trying to
chamber money.
Yeah, the 10,000, yeah.
Well, but they would be the pass-through, right? You'd be the pass-through. No? This is high numbers.
Well, what happened was we put out a request if anybody wanted to participate. So we gave people a list of where they could go to use their.
How, how did the people, residents get the gift card or the coupons?
It's like,
Pumping them up or?
we did a shop local on Saturdays or something.
And then you would give them out
We
then?
gave them out
Yeah.
then. It was
That's
like a
right, you did the shop
shop
local,
local
yeah, yeah, that's right.
Saturdays. So we had a shop local Saturday a few times.
Mhm.
And they would come and they would pick up the coupon set.
That's easier because it's in that value. So if you're a high, a middle school kid, you just throw it in your backpack and never use it, who cares? But if you give them a gift card, and they never use it.
This was just a coupon type thing.
I'm in a group chat with some businesses who are interested. It's a similar concept, but instead of like having like gift cards, it's bingo, like a business bingo. There's a handful of businesses that are interested in that, to the extent that I was actually going to recommend them like seeking out the case application, but if that would be something that you guys would want to explore, I could certainly ask those business owners to like, create more ideas and see.
How would that work?
I can look it up in my chat.
I think the town has done that before. Or like.
It sounded-
Something like
Did
that.
you do a
Like
bingo?
There was a, you hit 5 spots
Yeah.
and get reimbursed for X
Right.
amount of
Get a
dollars.
gift card or for $25 or something. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that.
And we have done that, but that would have to be something someone else would bring to us
Right,
to put together.
right.
I mean, so, again, micromanage. We've got a bingo card, 5 spots, hit 5 spots, we give you $100.
Yeah,
Who puts it together, who funds it?
this was the original, from X date to Y date. From these local stores, get your bingo card stamped, drop off your completed bingo card at one of the shops before the end and get entered to win this gift box. So I guess the idea would be, in terms of this specific item here, I would suggest like that we use the money to develop the bingo card and promote it, not necessarily like have the.
That's something someone else should bring to us.
Yeah.
But
I just thought it's similar to the gift card idea without actually having to
no,
distribute the funds.
conceptually, here's a bingo card. Bring us 5 locations, 5 receipts, and we'll give you $100. How do you set that up?
How do you set that up? Who sets it up?
I think ultimately the question is who's managing anything of this.
Right.
What's the difference between the chamber and the Rotary?
Big difference. Chambers for businesses. And the Rotary is more a service organization.
Service as in for residents or?
They do a lot of service-oriented type things. Because the chamber is more focused on business development, and business.
So have you guys talked about doing something similar?
Not recently.
My question for you, if you don't mind sharing, how much money did you have when you ran that program? The kind of shop local and then the gift cards?
Yeah, I thought it was 5,000.
Yeah,
It was 5,000? Okay, yeah, no, because I was wondering how far $5,000 would go.
Would you be willing to ask the chamber if they would be willing to maybe, if we had, we could sponsor?
Yeah.
And then we can find out, we can move.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is just one idea, other ideas, your bingo idea.
What, is there any existing programs that the $5,000 could be redistributed?
I think at the end, we're gonna have money. I think at the end.
I mean, I have ideas, but.
I apologize if this is something that was going to come up later. The project pop-up,
Yeah, I can fill you in about that.
maybe we could.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I love the idea. I would love to be able to manage it through mine, but I think that there's red tape when you do stuff like
No,
that
agree.
through the town.
Agree.
We can make it easier for everyone, but then again, just want to be mindful of everyone. I shouldn't say red tape, but you know what I mean. It's not as cut and dry as just.
It's hard
writing
when
a
you're
check.
going through this process. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any ideas? Ali, any ideas? No. Ann, good. Item number 4, so I might skip this one because it's 6:48. I do want to make sure we get to the other ones. But just maybe like 3 minutes on ways that we can connect with the Wakefield businesses a little bit better, like kind of being a little less behind the scenes and maybe a little more upfront connecting with folks.
Actually, I took a stroll downtown and stopped in half a dozen different locations just to chat about economic development, that people know there's actually an economic development council in Wakefield. And they should, reach out to us or visit for questions and concerns and talked about the sign facade programs. And a number of the businesses I popped in had their buildings done.
Yay.
So 3 or 4 buildings downtown and didn't realize where that money actually came from for some of the stuff. And when you generally walk downtown, you're getting tenants and not business owners. A couple of places that were business owners that would get back to me at some point, but I think as far as raising the profile of the council, we just go out and be out there. It's funny, in my travels, it was shortly after the fence went up downtown. And I heard a fistful of, oh my God, how long are these parking spaces going to be gone? And I kind of ducked my head and said, probably 6 months.
You think?
Well, I got to demo a building and start construction on a new one. So, to that end, when I was chatting parking with one of the businesses downtown, and the employees were talking about, we're going to get crushed with this space that's gone this long. The business owner said, well, actually, we do have parking back here over at this building. And the employee went, what?
That was good, it was a good conversation.
So it was a nice chat.
How do we coordinate that? So say Tanya's gonna go in and drop into a few places, she doesn't hit the same ones that you've done.
I can make a list. I mean, and it's funny because one of the places I thought that would have no more interest in facade sign money was Hearts. And they have an application in for the work they did when they took over one of Wakefield's famous businesses and made it more hardware store.
Yeah, I know, I saw the.
And they, they have an application in for,
What's a Wakefield famous business? That's what I wanna know.
2 minutes.
offline.
Okay,
Oh.
So- I know, I think.
So like face-to-face monthly-ish or quarterly like rotations from us. Can we invite them in those meetings to join this virtually and have
Great.
have them be able to do public comment and stuff like that.
Or they can,
Know what
they
we're
can be
working
invited,
on.
we would do invited guests, so if they wanted to come. Fahey Tire is turning 60, so Fahey Tire has been in business in Wakefield, next year, we're going to 60 years. So one thing I was thinking about is finding out which business, the dance studios are all 40, 45 years here in Wakefield. So finding the businesses that have been here and really the bedrock of Wakefield businesses and inviting them. And then maybe some of the other businesses who have been here a little less long, maybe not quite 60 years, maybe a coffee shop, and have them come in. So maybe do the new and the established, right?
Also, what about like a newsletter that people can sign up for, like on the Wakefield website, like businesses can, and then they'll know like sort of what we're working on, like on a monthly basis, like what's going on, and then they can, it'll always direct us to like, here's when our meetings are, please join virtually, or like even like the social media presence.
Yeah.
That kind of covers.
Yeah, so I know the Facebook thing is kind of hard to put together, correct?
You can talk to Jen McDonald if you want your own page. Just to your point about the newsletter, I do send out a business newsletter, not as much quarterly at this point, but I do highlight you guys as, like you were saying, you didn't know the Economic Development Council, that these projects are coming from you guys. So there is a newsletter that does go out to businesses. Could be better.
I think it's interesting, like if I talk to Julie's point, like some of the newer businesses, Wakefield, they, I think, are more sort of savvy and knowing that there's like an EDC or that like Erin helps, I think, every single business that comes in
Right.
to Wakefield. And so it is like some of the like legacy businesses that, you know, that they
I'm happy to put together a template for a newsletter if that, because that's, we wouldn't want, again, so, and it wouldn't be.
Oh, you're gonna do another, do you think that would be confusing to folks or
We
no?
put together a template, I'll send it to you, you see what you think. Okay.
I think if she's doing a business one already, and the chairman does a business one.
So maybe we need to bring it all together, is what I'm thinking.
But what would you guys include that I don't include now? So I include all the programs we're running, I highlight if a new business opens. So what would you
Because
say
we're,
differently?
so we're supposed to be doing, we're going to get to providing recommendations to the town council. We're supposed to be doing sort of more strategic.
Is there a place I can go sign up for this?
Yeah,
newsletter
yeah.
So I can even see what's on it?
Yeah, I think I put your name on it, but I'll double check.
Okay.
Yeah.
Has there been one since
Can you
I signed
just
up?
send it to all the
Yeah, I'll forward you the last one I
Because
sent.
maybe
Yes.
the easiest thing to do if there's space is just to like
Add a part.
add a little column,
Yeah.
you know, EDC chairs notes for the
Yeah.
quarter, you know what I mean? And that way you know you're not duplicating.
No, right,
because
right,
That
right.
is a risk,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah,
Yeah, the more
you
people
want-
get in their
whatever-
inbox, they're not gonna open it.
Yeah.
Sounds granular,
You're
and
getting a
so
bunch.
if your thought is to take it up and talk more strategically, that's the place for that, I think, so. Okay. I've never seen, I didn't know there was a newsletter.
So I definitely sent one out about the second round of Science Aside and some other programs. I'm actually working on the next one right now. I may have not done one since we started. I try not to, Jen tells me to be mindful of how much news
Yeah.
actually gets sent out,
Yeah.
especially since the town news. So I try not to do one. I would do one like every week if I could, but anyways.
So the committee, I think, does an amazing job of highlighting what they do, is the sustainability committee. I think they do, like, to me, they set the bar for what committees or councils or whatever who are sort of reaching out into the community with, if you do this, do that, do this, what's going on. So thinking that not to separate the toes, but to sort of raise the visibility of this council, because I think we have been sort of buried a little bit for the past year, because we've been trying to figure out how to put funds, and not to add another, that was not my intent. I like your idea, having this section.
Yeah, let's.
One of the things Aaron and I are working on is going out to the businesses with the, to get the pictures. So getting ready to go out with those to let people know what business you know, like the posters that we did, letting businesses know that they're part of, so.
So I kind of, so what I was expecting is to see, like what you were talking about earlier. This project was brought to you by ARPA funds through the EDC and the Community Economic Development Director. I'm not sure how effective it is to have a picture of what was there and then the picture of the building as it is now, as you're standing in front of the building, right? Because that's what you're putting them. So to me, that has less impact than this was brought to you by the town of Wakefield.
And it's funny, because when I was out chatting, one of the things I said to people who had projects done was the recognition of what's here should be visible from the street
Yes.
and not walk by. I gotta stop and read this. And some of the businesses were okay with, you know, poster size recognition of the, you know, 10, 20, 30, $50,000 they received in the course of doing this renovation.
You have to talk to the zoning board, because you can't have more than 10% of your window.
Yeah,
Right.
that's why you have to be mindful.
And so, you know, I'm mindful of that, but it doesn't have to be a permanent thing. It's, you know, 2 weeks, a month. Short time period to recognize what's there.
Yeah, that was more what I was envisioning. Sort of an acknowledgement, right? That this was a great thing that the town of Wakefield has done for the businesses. Anything else? Ali, anything from you? So number 5, Erin, you gonna give some economic updates?
Sure. So I'll start with the first thing on the agenda. This was on last time that I had to leave, but something that was brought to my attention that was discussed at the town council retreat, I guess, was the vacant storefront bylaw and what we can do as a town and community to address some of our vacant storefronts in the community. Actually, I mean, I say this all the time, and people may not agree with me, we really don't have that many vacant storefronts. I mean, the ones we do have, they stick out because they're large, but if you go to other communities, I think they have the same amount. But I think there's maybe something that we could be doing for the ones that have been sitting vacant, one in particular that is actually seeing something happen now, but there are others, actually, the other one is seeing something
Both-
happen too,
both of
I know, so.
Both of those venues
Yeah,
have
yeah,
construction
yeah.
happening as we speak.
Yeah, but I think also, you know, I foresee this being a problem maybe in the future with the economy to, you know, vacant storefronts. So I feel like going back to why this council was created was for something like this, and maybe this council takes something on and kind of guides me up potentially talking about maybe a vacant storefront bylaw, because it is kind of like a policy that could be put forward to address economic development concerns within our community. Just as a backstory, it was brought to town meeting in April 2019. It was voted down. So the bylaw basically was, you know, if you're within 30 days of your business being vacant, you need to notify the building inspector at town, and then you get put on a vacant registration list, if you will. And then you have within 90 days, you have to pay an annual fee if you're not filling the space of about and I don't want to misspeak, but about 40, you know, an annual registration of about $400 and must be paid quarterly unless you have a financial hardship or the owner agrees to display public art within that time.
This was voted down?
45 to 35. Some of the
It
things
was done. We went to town meeting.
went to
if I
town
recall.
meeting, yeah,
Because any bylaw change has to go to.
Right.
yes, yeah.
And I think it needs bylaw changes, 2/3 vote.
For zoning,
For zoning,
not
not
for
for
this, yeah,
any
zoning,
bylaw.
yeah, wait, for zoning. Yes, yeah, and this was 45 to
Did
35.
that fall under zoning?
No, it's just a bylaw. Wait, so maybe it is 2/3. Or is it majority? I can get back to
I
you.
thought zoning was, I know zoning's 2/3.
Yeah, but this wouldn't be
But I don't know
technically
if it fell
zone,
under
yeah.
zoning.
No, I don't think it fell under zoning. From my understanding, I have to go back
Yeah,
and look
I'm
where they
trying to
were putting,
remember.
where they put it.
I mean, I'm on lunch.
But I can find out if it was zoning, but it was voted 45 no's and 35 yes, there you go. In town, if people don't either pay the annual fee or put in public art, or say they have a financial hardship and can prove it, I think the financial hardship went to the town council. They were then fined $100 per day after a 30-day warning period.
So why wouldn't this just be brought back up to the town council? Is that something like we have to make a recommendation?
It would go through the zoning bylaw committee.
But it wouldn't.
I think.
So it was brought forward by the bylaw review committee.
Yeah.
But it's something that you guys could probably, if you're something you want to change, for example, like if you look at this, I have the bylaw, I can send to this group, I just thought this would be an initial discussion, maybe you take a look. I've talked to other communities over the last 5 years of me working here that do have the bylaw or it's considered the bylaw. And there's pros and cons. I mean, the pros are that you kind of hold, the feet to the fire for these property owners. But also the cons are then, maybe you'll get someone in that space that isn't a real great asset to the community. Yeah, and so there's a lot of, plus and minuses to it. But if you want, I could send you what the bylaw that was put forward in 2019, so you can review. I know Stoneham right now is looking into doing something. Arlington has a bylaw. Melrose has a bylaw. Melrose, I brought this, what?
Is Arlington a town or is it?
Town. Yeah, I don't think it matters, yeah.
Well, if it's a city, then you don't have to go to the town meeting.
Oh, well, yeah, there's that, but so, yeah, something to think about. I just thought this kind of fell under the purview of this group. It's stuff that we're talking about, right?
I like the idea, and all you can do is try, and then if it gets voted down again, then it gets voted down again. But reminding people how long it took for that fence to go up, it's one thing, I understand there's a history in 2019, but then you can say, and now it took 6 more
Yeah.
years after that, and who's to say what the next one is? So let's just put something on the books. It may be too that people are stuck on the $100 a day, which is high.
Yeah, and that was
I can't-
after all these different
I don't-
steps that
yeah.
these people can take,
Yeah,
so.
I don't remember the discussion at town meeting, but
Yeah, I don't,
Yeah, because the businesses are making business decisions, so you gotta figure out how their business decision is not to try to charge a rent that's not, rent is what market will bear, so clearly the market will bear the rent. So it's a business decision for them to keep it there. Yeah, it's changing the math. So maybe you come up with the economic development argument for it, where then folks can understand, oh, I see, right? So the person who owns, I'm not necessarily hurting Annie, because I think that's what happens. It's like, no, then you hurt the businesses, right? It's not Annie, it would be the folks who own the building who
more
maybe are keeping.
intentionally correct. Is there any downside to moving it forward for this group to move forward? To me, it's like the worst thing that can happen is you get denied again. But I think you've shown the town your commitment to keeping commerce vibrant in these big storefronts.
Yeah, I think we come up with the economic development argument, but it goes to because a bylaw can't come from us.
so it would have to go to the bylaw review committee to be presented, but I think it has to start somewhere,
Right.
I guess.
Right, so we could go with the argument for bringing it back up.
And it'd be a long process, I guess,
Right.
I mean, you could, I think, and I'll double check, but I think you could put some language together too,
Right.
that you want the bylaw to look like, and then ultimately it's supported by the bylaw review committee, or brought forward, I should say. But you would want to also see if the town council is, I guess, on board as well, because if they're they're not the enforcement people, but, if they're the ones that are going to be fining or dealing with the hardships, if people bring those forward, they should be on board with such things too, so. Yep. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. I can send the bylaw around that was presented back in 2019 to the group.
I'm just gonna do a time check. Is everyone okay? It's about 7:07. Ali, you okay? Yeah, everyone's okay?
I'm gonna head out at
Yeah,
into six.
put another 15.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be super quick. I know you guys just want updates. You asked about the pop-up, so I'll start there. I actually have a meeting tomorrow with Allison and Rachel from Pop-Up. I wish I had more updates. We've actually been having conversations with the folks at Ski and Sports Shack to see if we can make that space work. I've toured it. There's no HVAC, there's nothing. So we're trying to get creative in how we could possibly use that space. We're also talking about potentially, I've reached out again to brokers, real estate folks to see if they, property owners, if they know of anything in the pipeline. People I've heard back from, no.
Can you put on North Ave, or does it have to be?
No, I've reached out to someone at North Ave that has a beautiful space that could be broken up into smaller spaces, but right now not interested. Yeah, there's a perfect space.
What's
within-
the?
I think they wanna, well, they probably want cost, but they want to lease the whole space. You know, if you, it won't be really subdivided, but there is a space that could be a smaller space. And it's too large to stand alone for the pop-up, and then they're gonna be signing a year lease, so, and they want, if they took the whole space, it'd be a significant amount of money. So,
I think they were looking for close to $8,000.
and our budget is 3,000, so, anyways, so that's where that stands. I've also thought about the idea of using maybe the space across the Galvin and creating more of a pop-up village type thing. That was successful, but there might be a way that we could, you know, use it all 4 seasons. I know that wasn't ultimately what we thought, but it goes into placemaking and driving new businesses here. So that's where I'm at. I'm to have a better update that I can provide to this group in the next meeting, hopefully before then, maybe through some correspondence. So
You ask Allison about what she thinks of Snowport.
okay, that's the one down in
That's in the Seaport.
Seaport,
Can
yeah.
you imagine if we had a Snowport? It would be so tiny, but so cute.
The one in Charlestown too?
I haven't.
Oh my gosh.
Yep, already.
It was
asked.
in like the hood, you
The
know,
spots.
hood's all written
Yeah,
on there. It was,
yeah.
like, on the right. Incredible.
Yeah, so I think there's ways we can get creative. I think I was just thinking, I think we were thinking too with our budget was just going to be brick and mortar. We had that space lined, thought we had it lined up, getting close lined up, and then it fell through. There's a few spaces even on Albion, I thought that would be great, but. right now,
Yes,
it's not
okay,
possible.
okay.
Not just, I would just nice.
Yes, yeah.
But I would do it.
Okay. Case program, we kind of talked about that. Market assessment. Oh, hi. The market assessment, as you saw, the survey went out. We did send it through. I'm just gonna go through the promotion efforts. We've been actively working to spread the word. Of course, we'll always miss something, right? That's just the nature of the beast. An news blast was sent out on June 13th through the town news. I had a large A-frame sign at the farmer's market. Was anyone there? Did they see it?
Yeah, I saw it.
Oh, you did, saw it, okay. Last weekend, plan to have it again this weekend. I have hard copies at Town Hall, Senior Center, the library, and the Civic Center. We've posted them in our kiosks, so shared in the items. So far, we've received, and this is on Monday, I think we've had more, 550 survey responses for consumers as of Monday, and that's only, what, 10 days or so, so I think that's pretty good. I've been sending it out to some of the top employers to give some of their consumers. So it's ongoing. I continue to send emails every day to folks. And then I've also just been reaching out to other groups.
This new policy, you can't get your coffee, please go to survey.
There you go. And then the business surveys, I've only had 12 responses so far. Again, this was on Monday. I've sent out more emails that went out late last week to businesses. I had an intern go to the businesses within the district to hand out the flyer. I have a newsletter, which you're just talking about, that's being drafted and sent out. I have to send it to the chambers. And then I'm setting up interviews with real estate brokers, property owners, and downtown stakeholders right now. So if any of you have recommendations of who they should talk to, the consultant, I have a starting list, but.
Does she have in mind that she would like to see X number of businesses respond?
She didn't give me a number. I think I tallied around 240 businesses within that district, but and I'm sure I might be missing some, second floor, first floor.
So that's different than the consumer survey.
Yes, yes, the business survey is just directly asking
business owners, you got it, right? So if you could share it with your network of business owners that are within there. Within that district, but yeah, there's 2 different surveys.
Is there paper versions we can hand out?
For the business, did you know, I think I can print those out too, I think I have it, yeah, rather just do it while you're there, yeah.
550 consumer and 11 businesses.
12,
12.
gotta get that one extra
Yeah,
one. Yeah, again, the businesses is more targeted, so it's not going to the whole business community, it's really just going to the ones that are located within the district. Because that's what we're studying. So if an outside business, it's about the downtown businesses and what they're seeing. It's not, if another business wanted to, like Greenwood, or that would be a consumer. Because they want to know what the downtown business is. Yeah, because there's questions that are geared towards downtown within those surveys.
So is Albion Street downtown?
Albion, North Ave.
Can't go down to all the way down, all the way down to Greenwood.
No, that's not downtown.
Water Street?
Water is up until Crescent.
Crescent.
That's,
What about on the other side of North Ave, like more like the exchanges, that tunnel?
I think they're part of that as well. Yeah. So we have that area, Albion. This was all that we used the same as last study.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking that because from a visible perspective, I often think that Greenwood is quite vibrant, quite successful.
Oh, I
It would be-
completely agree.
It would be interesting to have their input of, I get it's downtown, but their input on what they see that really works better in Greenwood than works downtown. It would be interesting to see.
There's your $5,000. You can do it then. Do it there, because that's not part of our scope of work. I'm not trying to make light of it, but that's not what was in the scope. It was just the downtown.
But if you're not getting businesses, that's what I was thinking. If she's looking for business feedback and we're not getting it from the downtown businesses, it would be a good question for her. Is she just looking for business feedback or just downtown?
Downtown businesses.
How long? the
But
survey's
sometimes
only
there's a
about-
misconception what business districts are for something like that. And not a lot of places have a subset of a business district that's Greenwood.
Right.
And
So
I think Wakefield's somewhat unique in that
It would be
aspect.
interesting to ask her that question. I can ask her, because I know you were
I'm
super
sorry.
busy and you're.
That's not the, I think where I'm giving pushback is if we wanted their input, we would have done like a business market assessment. I just think it will skew what the actual data is for downtown businesses. But you can ask her, that's the way I understood this project.
The bigger issue is the missing 238, not the additional 150.
Yeah.
Maybe 200. I don't know.
And again, I can find out, I sent at the end of last week, I know business owners, that's always the thing too, very busy. And so they'll get it and then forget about it. So it's just a follow-up too. And I'll go door to door again, maybe not when it's 99 degrees out, but, and hand out the flyer and bring hard copies.
For them to do.
5
5
minutes.
minutes.
Yeah, that is a good
Because if
idea.
it's staring at me in the face, like, I'll do it.
Yeah.
But if it's in an email, I forget about it.
And like, I'm also happy to like drop it off and talk to them and be like, hey, also, I'm gonna come by tomorrow, I'll
Yeah,
pick it up
yeah,
for you,
yeah,
and I'll
exactly.
bring it back to the
Yeah,
town.
yeah, that'd be awesome.
Like a full serve.
Yeah.
One more item for your stroll.
Yeah.
I hate to duck out, but I'm gonna duck out. Yes, thank you guys.
And then, digital marketing is still just invoicing. My question on that was, if with that extra money is, do we want to open that back up and support businesses that aren't just brick and mortar? Because we're only 9,000, and I was just trying to, again, stay consistent with, who we supported. I didn't want to support one with not the other. If they didn't have brick and mortar, they only had one employee, that was something too.
So would this help them grow? Like they might have one right now, they're looking to grow their business. Like some folks they're happy with one.
Yeah, we could say that. So something to think about, you know, for that 5,000, I thought it was a very popular program. We would have 30 or 35
Oh,
people
putting
on
more
each
money
call.
towards it? How much has been paid out?
$12,507. But again,
Like 47.
47 left, but I have $9,000 that have not been allocated towards any businesses. $9,725.
That's like another 10 over 12, so it's like 22. You have 9 hanging out there, almost 10
Yeah.
hanging out there. 22, so then you would have 38.
So something that, as we, it was just a popular program, so like people liked it. And personally, this is my first speech. And then what was the other program? So I did pop up, the marketing at PRFP is being reviewed and just finalized with Tom Mullen. I'll work with the procurement people in town to get that out. I think we're ready for that. Chamber speaker series. I was talking to John, it would be great to get him in here. I sent some ideas for him for us to get that going, having maybe like a monthly thing. Oh, here it is. And these are my updates. Oh, facade and sign, but I kind of talked about that. Well, I'm expected to pay out around 250,000 over the next 2 months. Like you said, you've seen many of the projects, Hart's Hardware, McGuire. There's one on Water Street. Heard from folks, they're planning on doing the work, but if they needed permits, they haven't been pulled yet. And the reimbursement date is August 1. And if people reach out to me and say they need an extension, that's fine, but I think it's important to have a date. And
For people doing
so not to get into the weeds, but I've been working with the property owner back and forth for about 8 or 9 months, and we get somewhere and then I don't hear anything. And so, yeah, she would like the money, but I'm not seeing anything.
Oh, it's the property owner
Mhm.
who does that improvement of the business.
She wants to do
itself.
the facade. The business would love a sign, but it needs a sign off from a property owner. And there's some challenges there.
Is it,
Me and Patricia have a good working relationship. It's just, I've reached out saying, I've seen a design, it looks nice, but I haven't heard anything since. So,
is it 150 of ARPA and 100 from the state? Or
Um,
250 total, or is it 250 from ARPA?
it's a total.
So 150 from ARPA?
My spreadsheet, so 39 has been spent so far through the earmark. I'm sorry, 63 has been spent through the state earmark, so I have about however much left in, yeah. The rest, I have to reach that 100,000, which I will, and then the rest will be from about, ARPA funds.
We're projecting 250 next year.
Yeah.
But 150 from ARPA. And the other, is the 250 include the 100,000 from the state? Or-
150
So is it 250, you're expecting
to pay,
to
yeah.
pay out?
So I'll be paying the rest of the state earmarks, which will be around, $37,000, and then the rest will be pulled from the town funds.
Out of the 400,000, is it 250 or is it 100? You had 100,000 from the state. And you
So
had
150,
Yeah, so 150, okay. And then we're gonna do a second round.
it's already out there.
Sorry, great. Any questions for Erin? Ali? Any questions for Erin? Thank you, Erin. Number 6, Economic Development Council Liaisons Update. Perfect timing for you to come in.
You can take this one. Well, I have these 2 items here that I'll bring forward. I'll talk to you.
Okay.
Go back to the council, and I think we just met Monday.
Yeah, there was nothing regarding this. The
No.
only questions that popped up were in terms of ARPA.
The ARPA, yeah.
When, how much we had left and what was, so it's interesting because I don't think I knew that of the 250 you had to burn through, not burn. You had to spend the state's money first and then, so has ARPA even kicked in then on?
No, but it will.
It will once we
yeah,
get going, but I mean, I'm more just because of the state earmark. I was more like because ARPA has that hard deadline, and if the state earmarks, they also have a hard
They do,
deadline.
yes.
There we go. So
Before,
Yeah, they do.
before the
So that's
ARPA
why you
funds.
have.
Yeah, I've asked for extensions, but the last extension I can ask for is, end of next fiscal year for June 30th.
Okay,
So,
So I think that's, so in our minds, when we hear that, oh, $63,000 has been spent, but none of the ARPA money, so we need to make sure that we get.
so 39,000 has been spent of our town funds through the other programs, but
Okay.
I do think within the next month or two, these projects that we'll be paying out are huge projects. But I think we do need to think about how we there's some other larger projects that are coming through the pipeline. If these other two property owners I'm working with do not give me an answer soon, the back and forth, it's a lot of money that's being tied up right now that we could be supporting others. But I would love to support these property owners if we could, because it would be very beneficial to the downtown, but I can't keep
And
babysitting.
especially since the tenants are so eager, right?
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
challenge because I want to help them so much, but it's like babysitting these, a lot of back and forth.
So you have a deadline for them?
August 1.
I need to, and I did hear that out in the streets. So yes, that would be nice to see something come to fruition by then.
Yeah, because then we have an idea of what money we have left to maybe put towards more facade and sign for other businesses, if you want.
No, we're getting a new town administrator, so presumably that person will be as supportive of this group as Steve has been, so. something that we're gonna factor into the
He or she might not
process.
have the dollars to throw
You
around
know?
that Steve did.
Yeah, I know, that's for sure.
And I think the next planner will be hired, hopefully. It's an interesting question whether that person is hired by.
Yeah.
Who else is planner?
Yeah.
Is that job posted? Yeah, okay. Who's managing that, HR? Town HR?
Yeah.
So speaking of, have you folks received any for there's an open position here, there's an open slot here.
Have not received any application.
I've had a couple of people reach out to me, but have not. Like, trying to cattle prod them, but
Fun group.
not. And then my apologies, I realize now that as you're wrapping up, it's supposed to start at 6, not 7, which I was late for anyway.
I've got another 7 going anyway, so.
Any announcements? Ali, any announcements?
I don't have a very exciting one.
Very formal one, yes.
Still.
We just announced the ice age. These two-
Uh-oh, and these are not, no longer have form. Ali? So items unanticipated, no items unanticipated. Motion to adjourn, can we do a motion? We don't have form.
No,
Yay!
Yes.
You can hear them.
Yes. Ali, you wanna make a motion to adjourn?
Oh, God.
He's gone.
That's how we make the motion. Finance committee, motion to adjourn, leave.
I thought I heard him say. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. How do we do this? We don't have form. We can just adjourn, right?
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Meeting's over.
Yeah.
Okay, so July, before we adjourn. Same, fourth Wednesday, 6 o'clock. Does that work for you?
Is it 23rd? July 23rd?
July 23rd?
Was my car overheating yesterday.
Oh.
And then being in the shop and then the dishwasher repairman was there until like, until